Okay, so if you have been practicing still on Liberty and you have been enjoying it, so type some 2s in the chat box, and I hope you've come armed with questions today so that you are able to ask questions about, you know, a specific area that you might need a bit more clarification, a little bit more assistance on. Okay, so if you have been enjoying it, type a 2 in the chat box, or if that is what you have been using, type a 2 into the chat box. So no one's been using Liberty. Okay. Right. I'll take it as no one's been using Liberty at all whatsoever. Okay, fantastic. Great. So let us go on to it. So I'm sure you know how to get there. I'm just going to go and move everything out of the way so I can see things a bit better. So as you know, you can access Liberty via IM Center and going straight to strategies, scrolling straight down, clicking HFX, and then obviously you see Liberty open. However, the easiest way is just to type in Goliberty.im, go to your bookmarks and bookmark it. And then you should be able to just see that anytime you need to. And it's nice and easy because you don't have to keep going through different areas to get there. Okay, so to start us off, when you open up the Web Slinger or Liberty strategy, okay, so Liberty is the scanner. The strategy that I will be teaching on today is Web Slinger, and hopefully if we have enough time, then I can go into Simple Scalper as well. Most of the time, a lot of us are using Web Slinger. You know, there's very, very small percentage of us that actually use Simple Scalper. However, I understand that some people have their preferences as well. So if we do have time, we will go through Simple Scalper. Obviously, a lot of questions tend to come from the Web Slinger. Okay, so once you open up the Web Slinger, on the right-hand side, once again, you have the alert panel. In the alert panel, these are the currencies that are being called out for you, or that are being, you know, flagged up. And as you can see, it will say 10 hours ago. So 10 hours ago, this called for a sell on EUR USD. Okay, why did it call for a sell maybe an hour ago? Obviously, the currency strength is different, but obviously the currency is still stronger on the downside. So you can see that the USD is stronger and it's 64, okay, meaning that we want to sell. If the bottom currency is stronger, we want to sell. If the top currency is stronger, as you can see on this one here that I'm hovering on, we want to buy because the top one is stronger than the bottom. Okay, so depending on which way it is, that's what you want to do. So this is where obviously it called for its sell. When you also come onto the scanner, you want to make sure that you've looked at the 5-minute time frame. Okay, and the reason why you want to look at the 5-minute time frame is to see if it's a good setup to take for a buy or a sell. Okay, so you want to see if it's a good trade to take for a buy or a sell. So if we kind of look into this a little bit more, there we go. Okay, so obviously it's moved through the blue cloud. And then what you're going to be doing is waiting for all of your indicators to line up. So if you are going to go in for a sell, price needs to be below the red cloud. So as you can see, here is the red cloud. Here's the beginning of the red cloud, and price is below it. Okay, price is below the red cloud. One other thing, and another tip that I thought I would actually share on today's session is sometimes when you see that the cloud is moving in, okay, so you can see it's underneath. When you see that the cloud is moving into the cloud, sometimes you can find that there are small reversals. So it doesn't mean all of the time, but just sometimes you may find small reversals. Okay, once you've got on a 5-minute time frame and you can see everything's matching up, i.e. price being below for a sell, or price being above a blue cloud for a buy, then you want to go to the 1-hour time frame. Okay, so step 1, check on 5-minute time frame. Is it a good buy or a good sell? If it is, move to step 2. Step 2 is to go to the 1-hour time frame. Okay, when you're on the 1-hour time frame, and you get here, what you want to do straight away is to look for your support and resistance lines. Okay, if you aren't too sure what support and resistance lines, or you kind of need more support on how to mark it up, or a bit more in-depth talk on that specifically, once again, you would need to look at the videos that are in your learning portal, but obviously I will show you here as I usually do. Okay, so you will see that you have here, so I'm just going to go to this second box here. I'm going to click the arrow. I don't always like to use horizontal line because it puts lines across the whole page. I actually like to use horizontal ray. So I'm just going to click horizontal ray, and as you can see, it will just have a circle at the end and a line through it. Okay, and I'm going to change it to be red because I'm going to be marking up my ceiling, which is my resistance first. Okay, so I can see this is a very top, and the reason why I'm putting my line here is this is the highest point that it had actually reached. Okay, so price pulled all the way up here and then decided to drop. I'm also, as you can see, I've done that as a thick line. I'm going to change the thickness on my line now to know that the thickest line is usually, the main support or the main resistance zone. I'm now going to mark up another area, which is like a light support or resistance zone. And I'm going to actually edit this because it broke through. So I'm just going to see where this takes me. So I'm going to mark that up. The reason why I'm marking up here, okay, looking at this, price went up. Now, when you see a wick, okay, so what the wicks are the long lines that you see at the end of the candlestick. Okay, so each of these are candlesticks. The long line you see is the shadow of price. That means price moved all the way up there and then rejected off. So price moved all the way up, rejected off it, and came back down. Price then broke through, came back down again, came back to that area and actually closed below it. This also still served as a mini resistance zone for this same area. So that same area that price broke through earlier, but was still a mini resistance zone, price touched it again, bounced off before it decided to break through and touch the main ceiling. Okay, so I am marking up that area as a zone. Something else I am also going to do is look at my support. So once again, I'm going to the lowest area, or the lowest point that I can see. Don't want to go too far back because I want to be as close to where price is as possible. So I'm going to mark here up. I'm going to make that thick or medium. There we go. Okay, and my main, once again, reason for, let me drag this back a bit more so that balances out. There we go. Okay, so once again, this is the support that I've marked. Why? Because this is the shadow of price here. So you always need to look at where price rejects off and goes away from. Okay, so this is also a zone here. There's another mini zone. Price reached this area, so just that. Price came down, reached this area. Why didn't it continue going down? Well, it decided that it wants to go up a bit. So this is a mini support zone, or this is your mini floor zone. Okay, mini floor is what I like to call it. Okay, and then it decided to go up, came back down to that mini floor and broke through and created a new mini floor. Came back up to that zone, didn't go through, came and continued retesting it. As you can see, it touched it once, twice, 3 times, and then decided to go down and create a new level, which I've marked up the main one being here. Okay, so it's in between this area now, here, here. I'm going to just draw that up so you can see what I mean. It's very hard to move everything out of the way when you're on Zoom. Where is my thing gone? No. Why can I not find it? I normally use path. For whatever reason, it's not coming up. And I'm looking in all the right areas. Right, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna have to use one of these ones. Okay, so what it's done is come here, it's gone up, it's come back here again, mark it up here, and then it's decided to come not too far up to the top. So we're going to take it from here, come down to another support zone, and okay, this is the same little area as this one here, and has then come back through and before breaking to the downside. Okay, so that's the main reason why I've marked up those specific zones. If that does make sense, can you type some 4s in the chat box? So just based on that kind of theory of those support and resistance zones, of why I've marked up those mini areas and those main areas. Does that make sense? If it does, type some 4s in the chat box so I actually know that you're understanding my explanation and that you are with me. Let's see. Okay, good, some 4s. Okay, Zach, if there is an alert from a few hours ago, why would we be looking 2 weeks backwards? Shouldn't we be looking within the last few hours or the last 24 hours? Right, so Zach, the main reason, okay, so if I click, what we were looking at is EUR USD. Okay, EUR USD is 10 hours. Regardless of if it was 10 hours, you're still going to be looking at the support zone. A support and resistance zone never fails. So if you've been on any of the Go Live sessions, especially with Ken Free or Matthew Thayer, or even if you've looked and done Mastering the Skill with Brandon Boyd and Josh Lee, he talks about price action. Price action will never fail you in your trading, whether that be HFX or traditional Forex. Even still principle applies with crypto, or stocks, you know, if you're looking at stocks as well. They still, it's like king above everything else. We can have all these indicators, okay? Indicators follow what price does. That's the price action. Price moves, indicators follow. So for the fact that price respected this area, whether that was the 1st of July, which was last week or not, that is still a zone and it's still relevant to where price is. If you don't know what's happened in the past, you're not going to know what could potentially happen in the future. So what would happen is if you're only looking, you know, a few hours, let's maybe say we're looking only around here, okay, we can mark up this area because we've seen it here. But was it another floor? Yes, it was. So we're looking and making sure of that. Okay, because what you could do is only look at this little snapshot here, which is obviously yesterday and today, mark up this zone here, thinking that's your main support floor, and price decides to go through it. Okay, same as where price is here. Okay, price is currently here at this moment. This is the lowest price got to, but where else was this a support? So I'm going to mark this up as a little small trend line. So I'm going to mark this up here and make that blue, make that thick to show that this is where we marked it up. But where else was this a support? Okay, so we know that the price is bounced off this, but where's the next area of support? Now, if you're only looking around where price is, how are you going to know how far or where the next area or zone is that price could get to? You won't. Okay, so that is the reason why you zoom a little bit back and look at any areas of support or resistance so that you know zones that you should be avoiding, or zones that you should be a little bit careful of, you know, taking your trade. Because the worst thing you want to do is maybe get a sell around here, but you're taking a sell when it's right next to a pivotal point where there could be a reaction off price. Does that make sense, Zach? Let me know in the chat box. Let me know. Okay, great. So now that you've done that, so obviously we've done step 2, which is obviously coming over to the 1 hour time frame. What we're now going to do is drop down to 15 minutes. Now, don't forget, when you doing your marking up, just by changing to different currencies or different time frames, it doesn't delete your marking up. Your marking up stays there. Okay, so sometimes you may find that once you've done certain marking up on certain pairs, what you've drawn disappears. I know that's something that used to happen with Hourglass. I'm not too sure if that's still the case, but because Hourglass refreshes every 5 minutes. With this one, all you have to do is click save and it's always going to be there. Even if you didn't, as long as you stay on this page, it will be there. Okay, now that you've done that, we're going to go to 15 minutes. And on the 15-minute time frame, you are going to be looking for other areas. And I can see something straight away, which is around here. Okay, although price broke through and touched this area, I can still see a tiny mini zone here. Okay, I'm just gonna mark that out. Okay, a small area here. And if I drag this back, that same area that I've just, oh, where's it gone? There we go. That same area that I've just put in, why is it not moving? There we go. That same area that I've put here also served as that mini support zone for this area as well. And don't forget, just because, you know, at the 1 hour time frame, when you've done your marking up, you don't really need to touch it. You could adjust it minorly, okay? But don't forget 15 minutes, all of these candles, because we're on a 15-minute time zone, they're all that, it's all been broken up based on that 1 hour time frame that you've done your marking up in, okay? So once you've done that, now there's no other areas of, you know, mini support and resistance that you can see. You can see, I would say this is like a mini one, another little mini one. There's lots of little mini ones, and the main focus is what the main ones that you need to pay attention to: 1 hour, 15 minutes, and obviously 5 minutes where you're going to take your, where you're going to be looking to take your trade. And the reason why is because even during the day, price always respects those zones. So if you've ever been on any of my trading sessions and you see me looking at TradingView, where I've got, you know, the split time frames, I always have 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour. I do my marking up on the 15 minutes and the 1 hour, and I'm trying to give you trades based on that, because price tends to respect those zones. Okay, so I'm going to mark up that other mini one here. The red line you see is where price currently is. Okay, I'm just going to adjust this properly. There we go. And we're going to mark it up here. Why? Because price respected here, bounced off this, came up to this other mini support zone, decided to break through, came down to that little floor that I've put there, and has continued up. This is where price is. We've got a sell on this on 15 minutes. If we go to 5 minutes now, you can see that we've got a sell. Is it a good trade to take for a sell? Yes or no, based on what you see if in the chat box. Is that a good trade to take for a sell? Yes or no? Great, so straight away, all of you know that it's a no, okay? So the reason why it's a no, okay, and the reason why you wouldn't take this for a sell is 1, because price is not underneath the red cloud. 2, as you can see, the web strings are not spread out, okay? So when you are taking sells, you want your web strings to be spread out. And what I mean by that is, if I kind of just make this bigger for you. So Gloria's right, not below the cloud. You want it to be nicely spread out. Now, can you see what I mean? You've marked up your support and mini support and resistance zones. It's called for a sell, but it's calling for a sell when you know it's right next to the line that you've marked up. Based on that, even if it called for a sell, you wouldn't take it. The only time you would take it, or you may have taken it, is if price broke and closed here. I may have taken it here. Why? Because price closed below this line. I could have potentially had a loss here because I would have probably taken this trade right here. Why? Because it has closed below this line. All the other ones didn't. Okay. And also I probably wouldn't have taken it because I can then start to see that based on this, it's right next to this line. Price is rejected off this area before. So you would just need to wait to see if price continues on the downside. It depends on how patient you are. Okay, so let's go and look at a buy. Okay, so that's a trade that you would have potentially stayed away from. The only time you're now going to get ready to start taking trades on this EUR USD that we've marked up is when price comes out and is below this cloud. Okay, so that is some waiting around. If that happens to be the case, if you do have TradingView, you can set up alerts, or it's something that you could just keep this page open and open up a new Liberty page and flick back to this maybe 15 minutes later or 30 minutes later. It's up to you. Okay, but you want to wait for the best setup. What point is there trying to rush a trade because you just, you're in a rush to just take a trade for the sake of taking a trade and then the trade loses? It's better, what I call it is quality. So quality is better than quantity, right? Doesn't matter how many trades, but you need good trades. If you can get a good setup, then yeah, you could take better positions, you could take double ups, you could take, maybe a higher risk, maybe instead of doing 1% or 2%, you could be taking 3%. Okay, so all of these things matter. Okay, so let's go and look at another currency pair. One currently where price is obviously is the evenings. I know that sometimes it's a little bit slower. I'm looking at all the ones that are here, and just so that you know as well, you know, you can change the currencies. You do not have to stick to the ones that are here. So let's say, for example, I wanted to look at USD JPY. I'm just going to see if USD JPY is here before I type it in. No, so we don't have any USD JPY in the alert panel. How you would type that in is you would click here. So up here where it says FXM, this is what some people do. Some people just delete this bit. And that will not work. You need to delete everything out of here and then type in the currency that you were looking for. So USD JPY, I click on 5 minutes. Okay. Now that you can see that, then you can start looking at other currency pairs. Maybe all the ones on this right-hand side panel are very low in payout rate. It all depends on the broker that we're using, because obviously we all use different brokers. Okay, so if you've got one that is a better payout rate and that's something you want to do, then you can come and change the currency pair here. So let's go ahead and, as I said, look for ones that are better. I stopped here. And that's all you're going to be doing. Obviously, during the day is much better. This looks nice. So this is underneath a red cloud, although it's a thin red cloud. Let's go and mark this up. So this is GJ. Or GBP JPY for those aren't familiar with short acronyms. Okay, so we're going to mark up this zone. So let's do this quite quickly. We're looking at resistance. So I'm marking it up red for you. I'm putting it as a thick red because that's the main area where price reacted and rejected. I'm also going to look at any other lighter areas of support and resistance. And I'm going to put this in a thinner red. Ooh, there we go. Okay, why am I putting this one here? Price rejected here. Although it broke through, price continued to respect that area. Okay, price continued to respect that zone. I'm also going to be putting a light support zone here. Pardon me. Light support zone here, and look at what price has done here. Price is rejected. So we're going to put this one right here, all based on the 1 hour time frame. Now we're going to go straight to 15 minutes. Let me just make sure that I've done that thicker. There we go. Going in those 15 minutes. Is there any other zones around price? So we want to be like nearish price. Is there any other zones we could see? I could see like a really light one here as well. And why am I marking this one up? Because price has broken through the line that we had here as our previous support. Now that it's broken through, it becomes our resistance. Okay, so it's come through, it's bounced up, it's respected this area, and price is now in between these areas. This is what I call baby candles. They're not giving us much body. See how these have good bodies? That means it's moved. These ones are doing small pulls and pushes. Okay, if I start to see all these little baby candles, I don't really like taking longer trades. So this is another tip for you. Okay, so this is little tip for you. When you find candles that have nice large bodies to them, you find better movement. So you could enter and price drops or price goes flying, okay, when you have nice bodies to them. In the evening, sometimes you do find, depending on the currency pair, that they start to do this, okay, which means price opened here, came all the way down here, rejected, and closed further up. So this is what I call baby candles. So now we've done that on the 15 minutes. We can go down to the 5 minutes. So let's see what price is doing. Let's click auto. Okay. I'm sure this wasn't how it was when I was looking on the 5 minute before, just a moment ago. I'm sure it wasn't like this. It was right underneath it. Did I go and click a different currency pair by accident? No. Okay. Nope, so I obviously saw something else. I'm sure I saw something. It was a beginning of the clouds. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure it was like that. But either way, let's say, for example, we were going to take our trade at the beginning of the cloud when this cloud began. Okay, as you can see, price, exactly what I was saying before, price has been in between here. You've got some nice sells, okay, underneath the cloud. It's nicely spread out, but you can start to see that there's a mini reversal. So the reversal starts around here, and you know this because we start to see these green lines, okay? So these green lines here indicate to us that this is a sign of a pullback as well. It's doing a pullback. Hence the reason why you now see that the web strings, which is all of these EMA lines, they're becoming closely condensed together. Okay, and then it starts to open back out around here. So I wouldn't have taken this sell. Why wouldn't I have taken this sell? Well, number one, it's not spread out enough for me to want to take that sell. Also, I can see it's right below or not too far off from this line. Okay, I would have taken it on this one. Why? Because this one has broken through the support line and has closed here. So on that close, I would have probably then taken 10 minutes because obviously I've now spent 5 minutes waiting for this sell candle. Okay, it's closed, broken below it. It did call for a sell. It's nicely spread apart. I could then take 10 minutes because I've waited 5 minutes for this one to close. So instead of doing 15 minutes on this candle, I would have just done 10. So entered on the next opening of the candle, 5, 10 would have closed. Okay, would have won or cleared the trade. Okay, so let us continue looking for another opportunity. I'm trying to look for something that is good for where price is now, ideally. But being this time of the evening, sometimes this is what it's like. If you have your brokers open and there are any good pairs, maybe we can look at that on here. But don't forget, I also do use this in conjunction with TradingView if I'm not taking 15-minute trades. So no. And this is another tip, okay? So when you find price is like this, okay, very spiky, you find a lot of lines of them. These are trades where you may enter, you may be maybe a minute or a few seconds away from clearing, and then price decides to reject. Just like what's happening where price is now with this candle, okay? Price came all the way down here and decided to reject off hard, okay? So look at how far price came down to, 382. Price then rejected. Look what it's doing. It's all the way up at 397. I try and stay away from those trades because those are the trades you also go in on, and a few seconds before clearing, price decides that is going to go flying elsewhere. Okay, so always look at what price is currently doing and then go from there. Okay, so let's try and look for some buys so I can show you a good setup for a buy. It's the same principle. If I can't find the current buy of where price currently is, then what I'll do is I'll just look back at previous ones to show you. This is going in for a buy. This is coming at starting to come out above the blue clouds. So let's go mark this one up. I do not like chef pairs. I'm sure you all know. I really do not like anything that has CHF in it. Usually, I think it was Pammy that mentioned it. She's like, it stands for currency has failed. I agree. Anytime I do CHF pairs or I trade something that has CHF in it, it might have been going my way for a while and then decides that it might have been doing that, but it just decides to do something else. I do not trade it. I do not like it. So it's up to you if that's something that you want to do, or so maybe some people like it. So yeah, so that was good. So let's have a look anyway. Just mark this up. Apologies about my yawning. Okay, so marked up on the 1 hour. I'm doing this quite quickly and I'm hoping that you can see what why I'm marking up these zones. For explanation purposes, I'll explain. So I've marked this because this is where price moved up to, and then marking this because this is the last area of that resistance. Okay, so price moved up, hit it, came down, hit it again, came down, hit it again, came down, touched it again, came down, and price is also coming back to this area here. Okay, so price keeps coming back to this same area here. Let's drag that along. There we go. Okay, so price is coming back to this same zone. Oh, let me even drag it back even further. Okay, because it goes back further. You can see price is going in between these areas. So I'm going to be looking, because of price on the 5 minute is for a buy. I'm going to look at the next area that price may try and work its way up to. The reason why I'm doing that, if we look at the 5 minutes again, this is where price is. you're going to go for a buy, right? So if you're going to try and go for a buy, bearing in mind that it's trying to come out, or, you know, it may potentially come out of the blue cloud, you're going to wait, because if it calls for a buy now, you're not going to go and take a buy. Why? Because it isn't that far off from where this cloud is. You could take a risk, but no one wants that. What you would be doing is waiting to see if price breaks this line. If price decides to break through this line and closes, then we'll be looking for buys. But how do you know where the next level is? That's why we look on the 1 hour or the 15 minutes to find out where price may travel to next. Okay, and I'm going to mark up here as a light one, and I'm going to mark up here as another area. Okay, ooh, not there, don't double up. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's have a look on a 15-minute time frame. Can I see any other zones? I can, but it's really, really minor. Is this area here? So price moved up here, bounced off, came back to that same area, bounced off. I could mark it up, but I'd probably just draw a line through it just so that you know the area I'm referring to. Make sure that's straight. There we go. Okay, so I've got that on 50 minutes. And as you can see, that's also the shadow of price on this candle here. Price worked its way up to that same level and then rejected off it. So if you could even drag that back even further. Okay, now that we've done that, I'm just going to go to 5 minutes. And this is where you would kind of just wait to see what's going to happen. Some people don't like the waiting around. Okay, if that is you, then I definitely suggest also kind of trying to see if you can look at TradingView. Okay, look at TradingView and learn price action. I have shown you before where to access that. You know, the thing about learning, right? You could hear the same thing. You might watch something once, or you've watched it maybe twice, and you think, hey, I've watched it already. Or you might watch it once and you think, oh, I've watched it already. Let's move on to the next one. But sometimes watching something again and again, suddenly it just sinks in a bit better. So it's just like a movie, right? If you've watched a movie once, are you going to remember the lines of the movie? No, you won't. But once you've watched it twice, 3 times, you start to remember what they're going to say. And I know you may find it boring. Some people find it boring. Some people don't find it practical, but it's like school. Let's just think of this as like online learning to help you profit and earn money. Okay, in a job, you obviously maybe had to shadow someone or you had to learn for a while. It's normally quick because you're doing something practical at times. Most of the time, if you're in a professional field, you would have had to go away and study for goodness knows how many years at university before you then qualify and get the job. It's similar to this. It's just that you are in control of your time and your learning, and obviously the profiting from it. Okay, so once again, where you can get those price action videos, you click HFX. Go straight to Dr. Josh Lee and Brandon Boyd. Once again, they're the most underrated people on this platform. Why? Because they only teach. They don't actually trade. They only teach mastering this skill. Okay, favorite sessions. I'm just going to type in price action. They've got different ones for HFX. There we go. So they've got price action, technical indicators, price action, the foundation for all trade strategies. So this goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Price action is the king in HFX or in just trading in general. That is what price respects. That's what you need to look at first before you start looking at colors and lines and all the indicators that line up. Okay, look at this one, price action. What can price do? What will price do? Support and resistance, top-down analysis. So, you know, take that as time for studying and writing things down. And I'm hoping, as you can see, it's on TradingView, it will help. So if I go straight to my TradingView now, just to show you as well, let's look at GJ. Once again, as I said before, it's usually split into 4. I have 15 minutes. I don't know why it's this on this one. I normally have 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour. Okay. And based on what I've marked up, I look at what price is going to do. So when you're wondering, you know, how am I looking at Liberty and I know what price is going to do, or I'm calling shorter trades? Well, what I'm doing is I'm looking at price action. I'm looking at certain zones and where price may reject off from. That's all I'm doing. So now that I know price came all the way here, I'd either wait for price. Overall, if we look at this 1 hour time frame, we can see it's been on a downtrend for a while. It's gone up, it's still working its way down. Okay, so I only want to look to sell and not buy, because you do not want to counter trend. So all of these things are helping you in your success of trading and using Liberty. Let me just open up chat box. If that is making sense as well so far, type some 7s in the chat box if this is making sense and you are understanding this part. If you do have any questions specifically about what I am teaching so far, please do feel free to type this in the chat box. Because then this is the best platform. Obviously, within my own group, I do HFX community support session, which is kind of like a surgery. So you would either take a screenshot of your trade, or you write down the time, the currency you were trading and what you went in for if you're not too sure. And then we kind of bring everything to that platform there. This is the best, the more clarifying video so far. Will you put this video on something? Of course I will. Yeah, I always put it on my YouTube channel. So if you are a person that would like to watch back at previous Liberty training, if you just type in my name. I actually saw your name pop up last week, Sergio. I saw that you subscribed to my channel. Well done. So fantastic. So yeah, this is where I put all of the trainings up for Liberty. I am trying to do one for, I've done one for DCX, but I'm trying to do one for showing you how to take actual trades on your phone. So if you are a person that is looking into crypto, that is something that I'm looking at putting out as well. But yeah, if you have any specific requests for videos, let me know. I'm more than happy to do that. But yeah, if that does make sense, as I said, so the teaching that I've just done on this Liberty element, put some 7s in the chat box if that doesn't make sense to you and you are understanding that. So I'm okay to move on. Is it that you would like to know? That's what I will. You can't hear me. If this is making sense so far, type some 7s in the chat box. If for whatever reason, you know, you still have questions on a specific area, please do let me know. Type this in the chat box. I'm actually going to do it so that you can unmute yourselves as well. So just bear with me 1 second. Then you can kind of ask additional questions. 1 second. There we go. So you should be able to unmute yourself if you have any questions that you'd rather talk about or ask in person. Maybe it's a bit long to type here. Is this based on my support and resistance lines? How do you mean, Gloria? Let me know what you mean. Let me know what you mean. So you are able to unmute yourself as well, if it's more preferable to ask. Okay, but for this instance and for time purposes, you wrote something just before. Sorry, I think because I got disconnected, before I got disconnected, I didn't see any message. The last message I see here is Sergio's message and then your one. I never knew what price is best to take my trades at. Oh, you never know what price. Okay, so you never know what price is best to take your trades at. Okay, so let's say, for example, I want to give a quick one. Let's go away from CHF. Ugh. Let's go and look at something. I'm really hoping my internet's not playing up because my box is right here and it's still, maybe because of the rain, I'm not sure. Right, let's click this again. Let's look at GBP USD. It's not doing anything. There we go. So for example, okay, EUR USD on the 1 hour time frame, I could probably guess that price may come up to this line or this line. I want to see where I'm going to get a reaction. So I'll be looking for maybe a 3-minute put at this area here or this level. Why this level? Well, price came here, price came to this level and broke through. Okay, so this, it may respect this level. It may broke through, touch this area, is going to come up, and it's called a retest. Okay, so it's kind of like falling through a ceiling, right? I know this is, I'm terrible at my analogies and explanation, but just imagine this. You fell through a ceiling, okay? So you fell through this ceiling, you've touched the floor. This price is, what it's doing is jumping up to retest that ceiling. Is it strong enough? That's essentially what price is doing. So price may come up here, retest this area, and then continue to drop to the downside. Okay, so let's go and look at the 5-minute. See what price is currently doing. Oh, go away. I don't like it when this thing does that. There we go. Okay, so currently where price is, I would only be looking, so because it's broken past this last area, I'd be looking to wait for a retest here before taking a sell. If I go and look at this same currency on EUR USD on Trading View, so this is where I go and look as my backup, EUR USD. Once again, as I said, it respects 1 hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to mark this area up. Okay, the reason why I'm marking this area up on a 15-minute time frame is because where I've put these lines, as you can see, price has been respecting it. Okay, apart from in this area here, the price has respected this all the way along. There could be another mini one here, but what I'm going to do is wait for price to come up to this same area that price respected here. So I'm waiting for a 3 minutes sell potentially at 302. Okay, that's what I will do. If I now go back to Liberty, even though it's called for a buy, look, 302, I put 303 here. It's like a double confirmation. It's like using a double lock in a door. Told you about my analogy, it's terrible, but I hope you get what I mean. Looking at someone else's question, I was going to ask about finding trades quickly using Liberty in the same way we do on Hourglass, but from what you're saying, it's best to wait for setups on Web Slinger. Sorry, apologies, my dog is right next to my leg. Yeah, okay, so what you want to do is with Web Slinger, yes, it calls for these setups, but you want to kind of look at that. It depends on what you want to do. You either want to take your longer trades during the day because price respects the longer time frame and different zones, or you want to do Hourglass. Okay, so some people do find that with Hourglass is best around, afternoon time when there's less volume in the market. Obviously, London session is the biggest volume session. Don't forget, people in New York, America, a lot of people wake up for London session, which begins very early in the morning. Okay, so it depends on what you want to do. I personally, as I said, use Liberty during the day. That's what I've always done. And if I am going to, I haven't looked at Hourglass in a while, but I have looked at it and I've enjoyed the new cash trap. So have a lot of people in my team as well. So the new cash trap is great. I can vouch for that. It's definitely great. But it all just depends on a preference of what you want to do. Okay. Whether or not you want to wait for that or not. I hope you can hear me now. What I've done is I'm using my phone as a personal hotspot, and hopefully this should stop disconnecting. Where was I? Someone asked me in the chat box. I've answered the chat box, and the chat box has now disappeared and gone. Can you hear me now? Okay, I prefer this. I'm just wondering, how would we use Webslinger to find setups in a time frame we are working in? Okay, so do you mean, if you can unmute yourself, Keisha, that would be great. Let me just make sure that I'm sure that you can.
Hi there.
Change the settings.
Hi. Hiya. So basically what I mean is sometimes you've got an allocated time frame. So you're saying, right, I say to myself, I've only got lunchtime. I've got 12:30 to 1:30. So I do prefer using Webslinger. It's my strategy of choice, but is there a way to use it where I can flick through and almost look for that setup in that time frame? Or is it that I need to get into the habit of waking up in the morning, marking up, seeing what's going on, and then putting alerts on TradingView?
That would be a great one, because that takes time, but then it feels like you're doubling up on work. So marking up doesn't take long. It takes a few minutes. You know, if you say to yourself, right, I've only got 12:30 to 1:30, 12:30, come on, choose 2 currency pairs, maybe look at your broker, which one is paying out the best? Okay, those are the 2 I'm going to stick to. Mark them up and wait for those zones. It shouldn't take an hour. As I've just shown, if, you know, for example, this one that we're looking at, this EUR, can you see my screen? I don't know if I'm still sharing. I'm not sharing screen, am I? No. So this EUR USD that we're looking at, okay, it's called for a buy. Obviously, I wouldn't want to take it. What is price doing? Maybe it has got a good payout rate. What I am going to do is go to TradingView, and that's where I was saying your price action comes into effect and helps kind of help you decide whether or not you should go in for that trade or not. You can see right now, okay, EUR USD has respected this same area several times. Respected here, respected here, respected here, broke through. Price though, and that's what you're going to wait for. Okay, so that's it gives you a hint. Instead of just looking solely at Liberty, it's the same area that we've marked up. Okay, but kind of TradingView gives you that extra go ahead, whether or not that's the right choice or not. So should this have been me? Although yes, everything's not lining up, it is going in for a sell. How do we know it is? Because it's had some large movements. As you can look at this, even if we just look at the strings, look at the web strings. These are some fabulous sells. 5, 10, 15, so you would have cleared. 5, 10, 15. Okay, that one you would have lost to the mini support floor. So that's why I'm saying all those marking up does help. None of these you would have taken right next to the floor, right next to the floor. This one broke through, so I would have probably taken this one. That would have been a loss. This one I would have taken because it's broken through and closed. 5, 10, 15, you've won. This one I wouldn't because it's right next to the floor. So all of these sorts of things, this one would be good. So in that 12:30 to 1:30 time frame that you've got, like EYUSD's got a good payout rate. Well, how do you know when the next area is to get in? Double check it on your TradingView. Okay, and I have nothing else to recommend but price action, because it really does help. It helps to it's like the missing puzzle. If you can think about doing a big jigsaw puzzle, and now you go back. In other words, when we're here on this training call, everything makes sense. When you now open up the scanner yourself, you think to yourself, what am I actually doing? Because you've just done a big puzzle with me. It's a big puzzle. It's nice and easy to solve. When you're by yourself, you're doing maybe 300-piece puzzle. The 300-piece puzzle, to make it easier, is looking at the price action videos and utilizing the two together, because it does help. Does that answer your question a bit better, Keisha? I do kind of go off on little tangents sometimes. Keisha, can't hear you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Any other questions at all that anyone may have? No. Okay, so we've got 3 minutes, but I will show you Simple Scalper. So you do have 2. The Simple Scalper that a lot of you may have seen through Millie Mills videos is the Simple Scalper standard. Okay, so that's the original one. So if you look at any of her teachings, so let me just go back. So this is Millie Mills, and I go to her favorite sessions. Okay, so favorite sessions. This is where I tend to start people off. Right here. So basic training live trades, but I usually start people off here. Basic training on the Simple Scalper. And that's because she uses the original one, or she used to use the original one. Obviously, the update has come out. But funnily enough, now that if any of you have traded with Millie Mills, you'll see that she uses Webslinger. There's only been a few occasions where she might have seen, but most of the time you see her on Webslinger. So waiting for this to load. This is Simple Scalper 2.0. And how you utilize this and how you use it, because don't forget, it's still part of the same package. You all have access to it, is you're looking, let me just trade just 5 minutes. Very, very slow. There we go. We're always going to start from the bottom. Okay, so if I open up this is called an Elliott wave indicator. Okay, the Elliott wave indicator, this is like a cloud. So obviously, if you've got a red cloud like this, you only want to look to sell. In addition to this, can you see you've got like some dark areas, you've got some lines cutting through. When you've got this red cloud and you see a red line cutting through it, that a blue line starts appearing in it, it's usually because we're starting to see a reversal. And it's still going in a sell, but it's moving on the upside just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to mark that up so that we can see where this is. There we go. So we can see where this is on our usual time frame. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we've got that here. You then also have your histogram. So all of these areas here are the histogram indicators. And if I open that up, okay, so when you've got red lines, you want to sell. When you've got blue lines, you want to buy. And obviously where you've got these gray lines, all that generally means is that the market hasn't decided which way it's going. There's no clear direction to where price is moving, okay? And then obviously you then have your candlesticks underneath here as well. You've also got something called the Parabolic Stars. Okay, so when I was doing traditional Forex trading, these are my favorite indicators to use. I have them on everything. Even if I'm using another strategy, I loved it. It really did work for me. So there you go. I'm just going to make it darker so it's easier to see. So I'm talking about the black dots. So in other words, when you find that the black dot is underneath it, it shows that it's carrying the candle up. Okay, so don't forget, you're trying to go in for a sell. So this would have been a good sell to go in on. Why? You've got the red cloud. I'm going to mark it up in green because obviously green equals monies. You've got the red cloud and the red line cutting through. Great. You've got a red histogram area. Great. You've got this red candle and the parabolic dot on top. So when that dot is on top of a candle, that dot is essentially pushing price down. When you see that dot underneath, it's pushing price up. Okay, so the dot is on top and the candle is red. And can you see this middle line? When price usually respects this middle line unless it decides to cross through. That means it is on an uptrend, okay? Price is right near the middle line. So that would have been a great trade to take, okay? That would have been a great one to take for a sell. You would have gone in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, up to you. You've done it 5, 10, 15, or 5, 10, or 5, whichever one. We're going to look at loads of examples in just a moment. Okay, so that is a great trade. Where I said that it was pulling up, remember I said it was doing a reversal. Okay, so the blue line started to appear just on this candle before. So I'll open it up here. Can you see the blue line that started actually appearing here? So I'm just going to drag it. It was a red line. Let me just zoom in really, really well so you can all see. I think that's the closest I can get. There's a red line and blue line started right here. So let's move this to the blue line. Let's go and look at where that started appearing. Look, lo and behold, price was moving on the downside, and then price decided that it was going to move up. Okay, so this is where you also find that price is moving away from where your entry needs to be. As you can see, price then crossed that middle median line, which means price is moving in the opposite direction. And we know that because this is confirmed here. Remember the blue line I told you? Okay, the blue line continues to cut through, until you see this come all the way back through, and you like it to be largely spread. So it's similar to the Web Slinger. Okay, you like the Bollinger Bands. These two here are the Bollinger Bands. You like them to be puffed out. When they're narrow, let me try and find where they are narrow. Okay, look, it's starting to squeeze here. Where you find them squeezed here, it just means price is moving between these areas. Nothing much is happening. That's what you call baby candles or consolidation. So essentially, it's like a little zone that price floats in. To look for buy signals, I'm going to go through that one now. Let's change from NUSD CAD. Let's go to one that was called for a buy, which is how we use it. Obviously, it's been for a buy most of the day. You're looking for the same areas of matching everything up. Okay, so we will start from, or I always teach starting from the bottom. So we've got a nice blue cloud. Obviously, we've got the red line. So the red line stopped and started showing blue here. Obviously, it started showing blue, but you've got gray histogram, hasn't matched up. You've got a blue line here. Oh, look, we have a blue histogram area, but it's very tiny. Okay, so this is really, really small. It hasn't even really started appearing. Let me open it large. You see, it's kind of tiny. You want them to be like this. You like them bigger. Okay, so you may have waited until you got another confirmation on the next candle. And when you're going in for a buy, you want these candles to be above this middle line. So if price is below that middle line, you want to look for sales. If it's above it, you want to look for buyers. The closer it is here, the better. Okay, so we're looking for some buys and we're waiting for everything to match up. And I can see everything matches up here. We've got a blue cloud, blue line cutting through. So I'm going to mark that up here. You can see we've got a blue histogram. We're going to mark that up there. And have we got this at the bottom? No, we haven't. Can you see the parabolic dot? We haven't got it underneath. We want to see it underneath. Okay, so we wouldn't take that yet. We'd wait for the next one. Is it underneath now? Yes, it is. Does everything else match up? Yes, it does. Okay, so we've got that here. We've got the blue histogram with a much better bar size. We've got a blue candle and it's underneath the parabolic dot is underneath it and it's near the medium line. So you would go in. Okay, you don't find as many setups. Obviously, if you do get a buy or a sell arrow, that's just your additional confirmation, but you normally look for 4. So those are the 4 confirmations. Blue cloud 1, so the blue line cutting through it. That's your 2, 3, 4, and obviously your 5th one being the parabolic dot or your arrow for a sell. Okay. Does that quick explanation help? Type a 2 in the chat box if it does. It's a quick, brief overview, but I'm sure that kind of helps straighten out or iron out some questions that you may have for those that have looked at it and don't know what to do with it. It's the same principle as the old Simple Scalper. Okay, good. So I can see lots of 2s. Okay, so it's the same principle as Simple Scalper, but with the older Simple Scalper, you are just waiting for things to break and re-break. Okay, so for example, here we're looking at this line. So if we're going to go in for a sell, you would wait for the same thing, parabolic dot on top, red volume bar, but you want it to break and re-break. That's all you'd be waiting for. 2.0 is better. Anything that's an update should always be better. So 2.0 is better because you've got at least it color coded, you can mark it up, nice lines. Is it a buy, is it a sell? Okay, so if you are a person that likes to flick between the two, you can do that, but I usually say master one strategy, otherwise you'll be flopping here, there, and everywhere. Okay, so yeah, that's the end of tonight's training. I am going to put this on the channel straight away. So if you do want the recording for it, just go straight to the channel, and obviously it will be titled today's date, which is the 6th of July. Okay, so straight away, it should be uploaded within an hour or so, and I'll put that up on there. But I hope you enjoyed this evening's session. I hope you found it beneficial. Once again, if you do have questions, the community support group that we have for HFX on Telegram is there. You know, we're all doing HFX together. We're all working towards our goal of building up our accounts, so it could be looking nice and fluffy, like Millie Mills says, and that financial freedom, that extra money that is there. That's our extra side income coming in aside what we do. Some of us have left our jobs. Some of us are looking to leave our jobs. Some of us want to drop to part-time. Whatever your, your goal is, this is getting us there. So if we're all asking questions, everyone is learning from that as well. So I hope that you utilize the group really well, your own team groups as well as coming to these sessions and learning. But by God's grace, I'll be here again next week to hear how you've been getting on. But I hope you all have a fantastic and enjoyable evening, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.